Over the last 3 years, macOS has seen a remarkable 60% increase in market share, making it an attractive target for cybercriminals. And it's an exciting time to be the part of the macOS cybersecurity community. And here I am. Hello, my name is Kseniia, and I am a malware research engineer at Moonlock, as Tanya said before. Today I'm going to tell you the story about stealers targeting macOS, their delivery methods, people behind stealers as well. We also will discuss evasion techniques, threat actors used for the last year. And after the presentation, you will be familiar with the main capabilities of macOS stealers, their functions, some lines of code you also will see. I know it's boring, as Dima said before, but we should do it, sorry. And also you will learn how to track the evolution of stealers even without cybersecurity tools, like fancy cybersecurity tools. First of all, I would like to emphasize that this presentation was built in cooperation with my teammate, Mikhailo Grebenyuk. He's here. Misha, you're rocking it. Thank you a lot. And also, a massive thank to my Moonlock team for their amazing contribution. And special shout out for our true bosses, Fixel and Huva, for keeping our spirits high and occasionally our keyboards warm. Experts say that the best way to start the presentation is with jokes or kittens pictures. So cats were shown to you, and now we can move to malware. Apparently, while macOS has enjoyed the reputation of being the most secure and almost untouchable platform, the tides are turning. And conversations with malware developers that were made by my fellow friend and cybersecurity enthusiast, Gonja, has revealed a new reality. Here we can see some claims of macOS stealers developers. And we can see they said Mac is the future, Mac is very popular. Pinger's goal was to prove that macOS systems are not as secure as everyone thinks. Damn it. My goal for this event is the same as Pinger's goal. More often, I even going to scare you with some charts with our internal statistics, with detections among our users. And also, I will show you the heat map of most impacted regions, etc., etc. So, in our lab, we've got used to seeing match, adware, and Trojans. But lastly, our attention was caught by a new trend where we face stealers much more often. And as Patrick said on the Virus Bulletin conference, that stealers now are even like we have more stealers than adware right now on macOS, so it's really insane. And I would like to show you the chart where you can see the spike of these stealers. And in 2024, we observed a staggering 3.4 times increase in unique stealer samples compared to 2023. To put that in perspective, February alone saw almost 1,000 stealer samples, alone. And it's as if cybercriminals declared this a gold rush year for macOS data. And now I'm going to show you how the impact of macOS stealers on users has grown from 2023 to 2024. And here we are. Early on, detections among users were low, but starting in 2024, we see a significant rise, peaking around March. This slide also shows us the correlation between new macOS stealer samples and impact on users. We also can see like this direct link between the increasing variety of malware samples and the bigger impact and bigger number of the affected users. Now let's move on to the heat map. We built this heat map just to look at global distribution, and to build it we took the percentage of detections per country from total 100% detections, specifically focusing on stealers. Like I can show you, I can reveal real numbers because it's privacy data of our users, but I can say that it's thousands. It's not tens or hundreds, but it's thousands detections. Also, it's worth it to note that this heat map represented only stealers that were detected by Moonlock engine and may not represent all stealers globally, because some people use other antivirus solution, some people don't use antiviruses at all, so these numbers may be even higher. And what can we see here? The USA and France are the biggest targets right now, with thousands of detections. Why? Maybe because these are countries with a higher number of Mac users. But let's not get comfortable thinking that it's happening only there. We can see that this threat is growing. We can see also impact on Ukraine, Spain, Italy, India, Great Britain, Canada, other countries as well. Yeah. Now let's define macOS stealers. I can guess that some of you may already know their main capabilities, but let's go over through main of them to be on the same page. So first up, phishing for credentials. Attackers often craft deceptive prompts that look exactly like the real macOS pop-ups. And users think they're just installing or updating software, but in reality, they're handing over their passwords to attackers. Probably, if I say, raise a hand who will enter their password here in this phishing window, you wouldn't do it, because like you are not cybersecurity expert, but you are learning it still. You are students, so I think you are familiar with that stuff. But please, raise a hand if your parent, like mother or father or grandfather or grandmother, will do it. I can see well. A lot of them. I know your pain, because my father, he's falling for all sorts of scams, really, like all of them. And he's like my real honeypot. So I can understand you totally. Moving next, let's discuss what kind of data attackers target. Always, stealers dig deep into system directories and macOS-specific applications and extract their valuable information from browsers, like we can see here, Chrome, Edge, Vivaldi, etc. It can also extract data from Safari, but it's more like from keychain and from different crypto wallets. Moving next, let's discuss this system profiling. Adversaries may use macOS's built-in tools to gather detailed information about user software and hardware configuration, and this data can be even used for further personalized attack or sold as a complete profile on a dark web, especially if we are talking about high-value individuals. Finally, data exfiltration. On this slide, we can see it compresses command, it compresses gathered data via data command, and exfiltrates it via the HTTP connection to a remote server. Well, now let's come back to my story, because now I think we are all on the same page. And in June, we observed adversaries adapting their evasion techniques almost weekly. Like they, for example, encoded their malicious software in hexadecimal to evade signature-based detection. Then they switched to a case juggling, and soon after, they encoded only parts of their code with base 64, here we can see, and they just tried to complicate detection efforts. And really interesting, who are the people behind such complicated techniques and why they don't answer whenever it's school time? Because we had the theory that they're teenagers or script kiddie or something like that, and however, there were not only such evasion techniques, but also more interesting feature that ruined our theory. It's teenagers behind campaign. So I'm going to tell you the story now about one unique feature. This time, threat actor developed the malware that is capable of looking for the original Ledger Live app on the infected device and replaces it with a malicious clone. So user wouldn't notice it. And here we can see on the slide. Next, an infected Ledger Live shows the user a phishing window where the user enters data from a crypto wallet. And here we are. And after entering the data, infected Ledger Live, they obfuscates C2 URL and sends gather that data there. Also, one more interesting feature, it's while running, infected Ledger Live sends user info to and execution statuses to another one remote server, as you can see on this slide. And going next, let's discuss from that. Let's assume that from that point it looked more advanced and interesting. And by the way, the first source we have seen of Ledger Live's feature was Telegram. Actually, Telegram can be a great tool to be up to date within new features threat actors implement during particular periods of time. So that's the point I said on the beginning, that you will be able to track malware evolution even without fancy cybersecurity tools, because you can download Telegram, have an account there, and do it by your own. And we were able even create the timeline like that, just using Telegram. So actually, this timeline inspired us even investigate a deeper atomic stealer, just to uncover any attribution, try to identify people behind such stuff like that. Because we were like, okay, if we can just using Telegram do this, so if we have like more advanced tools, we can do something more. Or if we have more knowledge, so yeah. And we have analyzed, I'm so glad that it works. So we have analyzed more than 4,000 samples and divided them into 4 groups by features we saw in scripts, first seen dates, and brands impersonation. The cluster in which you can see on this slide helped us identify patterns that helped us identify different campaigns, like patterns across different campaigns. Yep. And let's take, like here we can see like the universe of malware we have in our lab. And there are a lot of interesting cases I would like to share with you, but let's discuss 2 of them. And first of all, it's a self-destructing macOS stealer. This particular malware disguises itself under the branding of a well-known entity, Empire. And what makes this case especially interesting is that it employs a self-destruct feature. This stealer incorporates anti-virtualization and process termination functions, and it's another feature we have historically seen in Windows. So we can like claim that Windows malware just migrates a little bit to macOS, and we can see these features. So yeah, that's why we need to learn Windows malware as well, not only macOS, I guess. And as you can see from the code, it checks if it's running in a virtual machine or sandbox environment, and if it detects it's in a virtualized environment, the stealer terminates itself instantly, avoiding analysis. There is much more to uncover about this threat, but my time is limited here, and for more details, I suggest you to scan this QR code. It's not a question, don't be afraid. Yeah, and you can dive deeper and check the full article about that. And now let's discuss another attack method, fileless payload execution over a network. And you should think of it like a ghost. There is no trace left on the system, making it almost invisible to standard defenses. And as you can understand from that, it bypasses traditional static signature detection. It all starts with a harmless-looking file app.dmg, which drops a macro binary onto the system. And once it runs, the malware reaches out to the remote server for further instructions and download additional payload. What's happening under the hood? Let's take a look at a snippet of code where the malware makes an HTTP request to a specific server asking for more instructions. And this is how attackers are moving away from static malware signatures. Instead of bundling everything into one single file, they are delivering payloads dynamically, on demand, whenever they need it. And now, my favorite part, let's talk about Rodrigo. And Rodrigo, it's not our new colleague from Valencia or Barcelona, but it's a Russian-speaking threat actor who made quite a name for himself in the underground forums. His lack of discretion was his Achilles heel, and it helped us to attribute him to a specific samples, stealer samples, just because he shared detailed insights and screenshots of his stealers panel on the dark web. So we saw it, and the most valuable information for us here is a builder button feature there. The builder button allows the threat actor to customize and generate new versions of the stealer, tailoring it to different targets or using different evasion techniques. And it makes the malware more flexible and harder to detect. And remember our universe with the whole malware samples, so it was possible just because of this thing. And what's interesting here is that as malware researchers, we were able to uncover even the login form of Rodrigo's command control server from one of the stealer samples we analyzed. And not only did we find the login form, but we also discovered this custom logo embedded within the server. Like Rodrigo just didn't hide /assets, so we just could check it there. So this solidified our belief that the sample we were analyzed to investigate was directly related to Rodrigo's operations. Let's talk about logo. The logo seems trivial, but it's part of the branding, and it can be used to attract affiliates and partners in crime. And Rodrigo is like the CEO of a criminal enterprise. He's openly advertising his stealer on forums. He's seeking Russian-speaking individuals with a reputation in the hacking community. It's not that easy to talk with him because you need to have a reputation. And he offers a 40/60 revenue split, allowing affiliates to earn a percentage by spreading the malware using different channels like SEO poisoning and Google Ads, etc. And this is a prime example of why you shouldn't always trust Google search results, as cybercriminals may leverage SEO mechanisms to push their malware on the top. And here is a great example. Malware-infected cracked apps are top in Google search results, making it easier for unsuspecting users to download them. When users search for things like cracked macOS apps, they are often led to sites like that, which are packed with malware inside. And my colleague Nastya, when we had a rehearsal session, she said like, but Ksu, nobody looking for apps like that. Nobody use download crack app macOS. People always use like download Zoom or download something else. And I was like, Nastya, remember about my father? He would do it in that way. So yeah. And in the end, you may ask, how exactly are these stealthy malware applications able to infiltrate so many devices? And the answer lies largely in social engineering. All these stealer samples have one thing in common. They bypass macOS's built-in security features, specifically Gatekeeper. And in our lab, we often observe a typical Gatekeeper bypass technique. It's not like bypass technique because they just guide users how to bypass it. So yeah, oh, sorry. And these visuals look like legitimate macOS prompts, making them highly effective at deceiving users. So what's the takeaway from all this stuff I just said to you? And yep, wrapping up. While Rodrigo is a fascinating case study, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And after Rodrigo decided to sell his stealer with the whole infrastructure, we noticed a drastic increase in new malware samples, stealer samples, including adding new obfuscation techniques as well. And if previously we laughed at clumsy attempts avoid detection using hexes and case juggling, now we saw guys are constantly learning, they're constantly developing, they started invest much more money in their tools, and now analysis takes more time than it was before. So yeah, 2024 proves to us that stealers are not just another one malicious software targeting macOS, but it's a wide business model which works and brings stable incomes for cyber criminals. And as Rodrigo said, it's like $30,000 per month, and they won't give up. Yep. They will develop more and more features because yeah, it worth it. And that's a nice example of the phrase, who laughs best, who laughs last. Unfortunately. And over 2,000 unique samples we saw for the first 2 quarters, which is staggering, like almost 240% increase from the previous year. And this is no small jump. It shows how quickly attackers are adapting in targeting macOS. So yeah, having such a nice people here, I engage you, encourage you to communicate with us, to collaborate with us, especially if you are so interested in macOS. So please just scan QR code, and we will be so great, so glad to make researchers together with you and help if something like, if you don't know something, we can help with you with reversing or such stuff like that. So yeah, welcome. And I hope you found this overview insightful and, dare I say, a little bit entertaining. I hope so. And stay safe and keep your firewalls strong, unless you have updated to Sequoia. Thank you.
Thank you, Kseniia, so much. Guys, do you have any questions? Please raise your hands. Oh, nice.
Oh, I see.
Hi. I have a question about, there's always a trick with the big numbers. You just showed that there is like 2,500, 250,000 new samples, and out of that number, how many unique developers, threat actors, who develop the products? It's not about, every threat actor have multiple releases every year, and this is like a unique sample, right? How many of them currently you're tracking in your systems?
Okay, nice question, thank you. I should say that there are not many developers of stealers. Actually, they are all like started from, we may say Amos, but there are rumors that there was like OS 6 stealer before the Amos, and the guy just scammed the first developer, just scaring first developer by FSB and SBU. It's like how I can say, special agencies of Ukraine and Russia. So the guy just left the product, and he was the first one, this OS 6 stealer, and then Amos appeared. So, and after Amos had his own team, this Pinger guy, as I mentioned on the beginning, he had like his own team, and they had also their own like problems inside, and some people started to leave team and create like their own stealers. So now we have also Poseidon, Banshee, and Poseidon, Banshee, Cthulhu also, but Cthulhu, it's mostly about this first guy who was behind the OS 6 stealer. So he just disappeared from underground forums and went to Traffer team, and they created Cthulhu, like together. Like, so these guys behind the Cthulhu. But for now, as I remember, Cthulhu is already dead. Yep. And so here we have like Cthulhu, Poseidon, Amos, OS 6 stealer, and Banshee. So for now, it's like 5 threat actors, 5 developers. And about Traffer teams, there are like a lot of Traffer teams, and we are still investigating Traffer teams because it's also like a big topic to investigate. And yeah, attribution is the most interesting part, and we are still on it.
So overall, we're talking about around 7 threat actors, like the developers who are behind that families, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Like 5? 5? It was 5.
6.
Okay, 6. Let it be 6.
And like another question, where are the money? So like they selling their product to the distribution channel. So like how they earn money to feed their families and buy Porsche, Lamborghini, and so on and so forth. Like, are there really money for them in building these products and spreading them?
Like
because in a ransomware world, it's easy. You have a corporate network, you make this network down. Business have a business interruption case, and they need to pay to get up and running again, right? In corporate network, is clear. What about the revenue from the stealers? How do they make money?
Like they steal money it will be
Primarily, the use case for them is to approach the owner of the Bitcoin wallets and go after the cryptocurrency owners, right?
Yeah, they go for cryptocurrency, and if we are talking not a traffer teams but developers, they just have like this model. They give like your subscription. For example, Amos costs like $2,500 per month. So they give you this subscription, and they maintain the software like through the whole time you have this subscription. And there is also risks for them, because sometimes these developers can disappear, like it was with developer of OS X, Stealer. He just disappeared, and after 2 months, Stealer just stopped working because nobody maintained it.
Yeah, it's happening when you work for FSB.
Yep. So so they have this like rent model, like they just give it to Traffer's team, and they have their money. And they started invested because Rodrigo, when he sold his, when he was selling his Stealer, his Poseidon with the whole panel and infrastructure, he said that I've just bought new Morpher to obfuscate like samples, and I've bought it for $10,000. So and he sold it for $85,000. As I remember correct. He wanted 100, but sold for 85, I guess. So yeah, and that's a business.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for your questions. Anyone else?
I also have one comment. Sorry. Also about Rodrigo. Sorry, it's my favorite character. He made such a when he was in Amos and he was there like in the team. He made a feature in code of Stealer that if Stealer detected that on the victim's device there is a wallet, the fat wallet that has on the balance like more than particular amount of money, it didn't send log to Traffer team, but it sends the log to Rodrigo. So they even scam Traffer teams. So it's also the second thing how they can earn money. Yep.
Oh, okay. So you told about an app that mess with Ledger Live code and inject some malicious part. And what my question is isn't like macOS gonna prompt user that the code has been tampered with and the signature itself is invalid?
Yeah, sure. Like signature itself isn't well thing because we need still dynamic analysis. Like we need to see it in dynamic, and when we have like processes, we can, for example, if it has new forms of obfuscation and we can detect it with a signature, still we can see processes it creates. And for example, if you see this OCA script, CURL, etc., these processes on your device, it means that probably it's something suspicious. So yep, dynamic should be here.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Oh,
I see you.
Thank you for the talk. It was really good. In Sequoia, they've removed the ability to right-click and open to bypass Gatekeeper. You now need to go into like system preferences, blah blah blah. What impact do you think that's going to have on like the Stealer ecosystem and like that social engineering aspect?
Actually, it's a good question. We didn't spot yet samples that do something new with it, like try to do something to bypass it, but I guess there is also the possibility to just guide user but make new picture and show users how to still bypass Gatekeeper. And also maybe they will try like somehow cite their products as well, because once we spotted a signed sample and we wrote about it one article, but it was only once. So maybe they will start invest money in that also. I'm not sure. We will see. I will tell you like 1 year later, maybe. Yep.
Thank you for your question.